Is national service conscription inevitable for the British public? Are they going to be called up for a major war within the next few years, or at least be called up so we have the correct numbers just in case we do go to war? I'm Craig, former British Army soldier. This is Combat Ready HQ. Welcome to today's video. It has just been released that defence ministers have released that the British Army would be worn down in around 6 months to a year in a major war. I wouldn't say this is actually new news. I think a lot of people within the armed forces and anyone who follows sort of the military knows this. Let's see what they've got to say, and then we'll just go over what our thoughts are, and please comment below what you think of this and whether you think they're correct or whether you think they're wrong.
In a war of scale, not a limited intervention, but one similar to Ukraine, our army, for example, and current casualty rates would be expended, yes, part of a broader multinational coalition, in 6 months to a year.
So as you just heard it there, our numbers would be expended in 6 months to a year if we went to a war such as Ukraine and Russia, because it's completely different to when we was in Afghan. Our numbers are different into when we went to Afghanistan and Iraq. We are now down to around 72,000 regular personnel, with around 4,000 Gurkhas, I believe, and around 24,000 reservists. So we've got just over 100,000, around 101,000 maybe. That's not including, obviously, any ex-regular forces that you could call up. So for those that don't know, when you leave the British Army, you could be called up for so many years. I actually don't know what it is, but when you sign on the dotted line, when you sign up, you're basically agreeing that when you leave, if there's any major conflict, you'll be one of the first people to be called up. The issue we have with that is you're calling up people who have been out a while, so they're not completely up to date with new tactics. They've obviously they've got muscle memory, subconsciousness. They will remember most of it, but they would have forgotten some things. They've got no kit and equipment. They've got no kit and equipment at all. We don't really have the infrastructure around the UK to sort of house a larger army, because camps and barracks have been changed to, we all get single living accommodation now, which is absolutely brilliant for them. Don't get me wrong, it's brilliant. Obviously that takes up a lot more space because you haven't got 4, 8, 12 man rooms anymore. A lot of camps are now being demolished because they're getting rid of a lot of old barracks and Ministry of Defence sort of establishments to save on money. Housing's the same. So we would struggle there. And then just the casualty rates within Ukraine and Russia, I believe, is around 1,500 per day. I believe the Ukrainians are taking around in casualties and fatalities, and I believe the Russians are the same. Sometimes they're losing 500, 600 within a few hours. I think the total casualties for the Russians, so this is casualties and fatalities, is around 750,000 personnel. That's 7 times more than we've got as a regular and reserve force for our British Army, not including Navy and Royal Air Force. Obviously, like he said there, we would have coalition support. So we wouldn't go away without some form of support from NATO or our allies. But how much of a front could we hold in such a war, such a conventional war, which we've actually been training for quite a few years now, since we've pulled out and left Afghanistan in 2015. It is worrying, but I don't think it's all doom and gloom. We do still have some of the most professional, highest trained soldiers within the world. We've got some of the best equipment within the world, but the issue we've got with equipment, it's just taking too long to come in. So if we had the Charlie 3 Indate now, if we had the fully operational Ajax and all the variants, I think you got the Boxer. We've only got 14 Archers. We're waiting for the RCH 155, the Boxer variant, for the artillery system, the 155. Not every soldier's got an SA-80A3 or the new AR rifle, assault rifle. Vertis, I believe, has been issued to everyone now. They're getting it through training, so we're sort of there with the body armour, helmet, but I don't think the reservists have it all up to date. So I think what we need to do is increase the defence budget quickly, make sure we've got all the kit and equipment, and then start looking at how we can do numbers. And I think one of them, I've said it before, is some form of conscription for, say, 18 to 20 year olds or 16 to 18 year olds. I don't think 16 to 18 year olds would work because they're not operational until they're 18. But you could do 18 to 20 year olds. That Sweden have a great conscription method. They go away, send all their 18 to 20 year olds, they do an assessment, and the top guys and girls then go off to do training. So they look at your ability to see if you're suitable, are you fit enough, your cognitive ability, and then you go off and do it. So it's a bit like a selection anyway. It's just you don't have a choice. Everyone has to do it. That way you can get the numbers up. Also, I believe they don't actually have a full list or database for all the guys who have left the military who could be called up upon. So that's another issue there. We all know we wouldn't last in a major war on our own. That's just been a fact for quite some time now. But what we need to do is increase our defence budget, remove capita, and look at how we can start increasing numbers and retention and really get the new bits of equipment through as fast as possible, instead of faffing around, getting stupid contracts. Actually get people in who know how to choose equipment, know what equipment we need, and stop wasting money because certain people want to do back pocket deals, and line their own pockets. But that's where we're at. They've finally come out and said it. You know, high chain of command have been saying it for some time. We've all been saying it. They have cut our forces too small. This isn't just Labour. This is obviously the Conservatives before they started it. They have cut our forces way too small. And now I think with the threats that are coming, they're starting to panic. But ultimately, they know what they've got to do, but they don't want to do it. They don't want to increase spending. They don't want to increase numbers because that means increased spending. They don't want to get the correct equipment because that means spending more money. And they don't want to keep the infrastructure and the training areas that we need because that means spending money. It all comes down to money, ultimately. But that's where we're at. They finally come out and say it. I think we could possibly see some form of conscription national service. I don't know how it would work, but if it does finally happen, everyone needs to be prepared. You are going to be called up upon, especially if you're a fighting age. So it is going to happen in my personal point of view. I think the numbers are way too low. We're not hitting the numbers still. Recruitment was up for Harrogate this year, but we're still not keeping the numbers. We're not getting the numbers in. So I think there could be some form of national service. Let us know what your thoughts are on this. I'd be very interested to know, but thank you for watching and I'll see you soon.